Hey everyone, what's up? Listen up, folks. Today's video is one of those moments where you'll want to grab a seat, take a deep breath, and brace yourself. What we're diving into today is incredibly layered, filled with hypocrisy, and absolutely overflowing with audacity. By the end of this, you're going to need a moment to gather your thoughts before you even think about what to drop in the comments. We've discussed Kevin Stefanski in previous conversations. We've really dug into the locker room drama in Cleveland, the NFLPA grades, that ruthless Thursday firing, and the buzz that's been circulating for months about the real story between him and Shedeur Sanders. But today is a whole new ballgame because Kevin Stefanski has chosen to keep the conversation going. He just keeps going. He just keeps going. Whenever he talks about Shedeur Sanders, the buzz on the internet just keeps growing. The football scene is getting increasingly suspicious, and the questions that have been buzzing around this guy are becoming impossible to overlook. All right, let's dive straight in. Let's kick things off from square one and craft this narrative properly, as context is crucial. We're here to provide you with every single detail you need. The setting for today's discussion revolves around the NFLPA report card situation, which we previously analyzed and continues to send ripples through the NFL media landscape, catching both Cleveland and Atlanta off guard. If you're just catching up and missed the previous video, here's the quick rundown. Each year, the NFL Players Association conducts a survey among active players, requesting them to evaluate their head coaches, organizations, facilities, and the overall environment in which they work and compete. The results arrive as a report card, and those grades inevitably get leaked and reported because the football community just can't resist the allure of anonymous accountability. Most coaches find their place in the cozy middle ground. The top-tier builders and culture creators earn A's. The reliable coaches, who may not be in the spotlight but earn respect, receive B's. Coaches facing challenges receive C's. And then we have Kevin Stefanski. Among the 32 head coaches in the NFL, Kevin Stefanski earned a C- grade. Not the 31st, far from the bottom, the very lowest point, in the bottom position. He stood out as the sole coach in the whole league to earn a C- grade. The players who took the field for the Cleveland Browns last season, the ones who put their trust in him regarding their careers, their bodies, and their professional futures, looked at their coach and came to a unanimous conclusion. He warranted the lowest grade of anyone in his profession. That's a pretty clear message. That's not a detailed analysis. That's a serious accusation. The locker room is united, speaking as one. What it conveyed was far from nice. For months leading up to the release of these grades, there were voices in the media, including right here on this channel, discussing the locker room drama in Cleveland. Discussions were swirling around the friction between Stefanski and his players, highlighting the gap between the public statements and the reality unfolding behind the scenes at the Browns facility in Berea. A ton of folks really pushed back on that. Many folks claimed the drama was fabricated, insisting the narrative was off, and that those of us highlighting the flaws in the foundation were clueless. The NFLPA report card is definitely not just a rumor. The NFLPA report card isn't just a hot take, speculation, or some hidden agenda. It's totally anonymous. The players are directly submitting their own grades. To everyone who criticized this channel for discussing the locker room situation before it hit the mainstream, take a look at it now. The evidence is here. The receipts become even more intriguing when you check out the insights from the ESPN Cleveland analysts regarding the grade. A commentator took a seat in front of the camera, locked eyes with it, and delivered a statement that struck at the core of the issue. He mentioned, and we're putting it in our own words, that the C- grade highlights one of the key reasons the Browns decided to part ways with Kevin Stefanski. His players weren't fans of him. Without directly naming him, he made it abundantly clear who he was referring to, hinting at a certain number 95 on the defensive line. This player, the most respected on the roster, a Defensive Player of the Year, known for his immense character and professional credibility, didn't seem to have the support of his head coach as the season progressed. When Myles Garrett stops having your back, when the most respected voice in that locker room goes silent or turns against the coaching staff, it's game over. The game was done. The NFLPA grade just put into words what the body language had been shouting for months. Now, this is where the narrative takes an unexpected and truly astonishing twist. You might expect that a coach who just received the lowest player grade in the NFL, got fired just 3 days before the last game of the regular season, and faced public booing at the NFL Combine in Indianapolis, would take a step back, keep a low profile for a bit, and concentrate on creating something fresh in Atlanta before commenting on the situation he left behind. It's surprising, but Kevin Stefanski isn't following the expected path. Instead, he chose to hop on Pardon My Take and dive into a conversation about Shedeur Sanders, which seems to be the topic he's most excited to tackle. You got that right. The coach who spent most of the 2025 season dodging the mention of Shedeur Sanders' name during press conferences. If you were paying attention throughout the season, you definitely recall that period when reporters would bring up the quarterback, and Stefanski would sidestep the question like it was a hot potato he wanted to avoid. That same coach is now out here acting like he's been best buddies with the young man all along, professing his love for him. He stated, and I quote, "I love Shador. Coaching him is something I truly enjoy. Honestly, he's got the perfect setup for this matchup. He had the right mindset. I definitely wish we had more wins, but if you watched how he performed in those crucial moments, it's clear he's a young talent on the rise. I'm really pulling for him." Let's take a moment to really think about that, because there's a lot to dissect in those two sentences, and none of it paints Kevin Stefanski in a good light when you apply some basic logic and recall to what he's saying. He expressed his passion for coaching Shedeur. He mentioned that Shedeur has the right setup. He mentioned that he's cheering for him. These are the words of a coach expressing unwavering faith in a player he supported wholeheartedly, a player he fought for with everything he had. However, the evidence from last season tells a different story. If you had such a strong connection with Shedeur Sanders, what was the reasoning behind keeping him on the bench for 10 weeks while your team struggled with quarterbacks who obviously weren't the solution? If Shedeur had the right wiring and makeup, why was the play calling in critical moments designed to take the ball out of his hands? If you were genuinely supporting him, how come the situation surrounding him was so poorly set up that it led to 10 interceptions, a shattered confidence, and a rookie season that the media largely labeled as disappointing? Expressing love for someone can happen endlessly, but in coaching, as in any relationship, true love is shown through actions rather than just words on a podcast after being let go and relocating to a different city. The events unfolding in Cleveland paint a picture that sharply contradicts the narrative Stefanski is attempting to push at the moment, and the online community is holding him accountable for it. The online response to Stefanski's remarks has been quick, sharp, and in certain instances, downright funny in how it directly highlights what fans are observing. The prevailing vibe on social media and in football discussions is pretty much this: if you were such a big fan of Shedeur and had that much faith in him, then why didn't any of that come through when it really mattered? What was up with reporters fixating on the fact that the head coach of the Cleveland Browns appeared unable to say his starting quarterback's first name throughout the season? What was the reasoning behind the 2-point conversion play, the one that everyone clearly saw was meant to take the ball away from Shedeur at a time that demanded trust and boldness, unfolding the way it did? These are facts, not conspiracy theories. These are recorded, time-stamped moments captured on film that directly oppose every expression of love and admiration that Stefanski is currently showcasing for the podcast audience. Additionally, a comment regarding Baker Mayfield came up in this discussion, and it's important to highlight it as it provides further insight into the history of the quarterback relationship with Stefanski. Baker Mayfield, who came before Shedeur in Cleveland, had a tumultuous relationship with the organization. After parting ways with the Browns, he openly shared his criticisms and frustrations. He discussed how he was treated, the decision-making processes that surrounded him, and how the atmosphere in Cleveland played a role in the decline of his experience there. Baker definitely spoke up. Baker dropped names just like Baker Mayfield does, loudly and without a care for the impact it might have. Shedeur Sanders, on the other hand, has kept his comments about Kevin Stefanski and the Browns organization entirely positive in public. Nothing. He has consistently demonstrated professionalism in his public statements, concentrating on his personal growth, his rapport with the new coaching staff, and his readiness for the upcoming season. Those familiar with Shedeur and his personality will affirm that his silence is far from being passive. It is purpose. Shedeur Sanders doesn't have to utter a single word about Kevin Stefanski. His career ahead will speak volumes on its own. The analysis from 92 The Fan Radio brought an intriguing angle to the discussion by tackling the false narrative about any supposed animosity between Stefanski and Shador throughout the season. A commentator challenged the notion that the tension was fabricated, highlighting specific instances during training camp and the early season when both sides had clear chances to publicly address the issue and resolve it. And neither of them managed to do it. That's a big deal. When a coach and a quarterback share a real, trusting bond, those moments of public alignment happen effortlessly. Body language at press conferences, the way a coach discusses his quarterback with the media, and their interactions on the sideline during games all reveal a lot. The absence of any moments of clear alignment between Stefanski and Shador speaks volumes about the true nature of their dynamic, no matter what either side claims today. Then there's that viral comment from the fan page that blew up alongside Stefanski's interview, claiming he manipulated his way out of Shedeur Sanders after spending a ton of time pre-drafting with the kid. That's a bold claim. What this is all about is the pre-draft process where teams pour a ton of time, resources, and energy into scouting quarterback prospects before making their picks. When a team dedicates that level of concentrated, in-depth time with a quarterback prospect, inviting him for private workouts, breaking down film together, and meticulously reviewing their entire offensive system with him, they're hinting at a promise without saying it outright. We're excited to let you know that you're being viewed as a key player in our future plans. This relationship has the potential to go places. When you choose that quarterback in the draft and then let him sit behind veterans for the first 10 weeks of the regular season while everything falls apart, it's tough to justify the disconnect between the potential and the actual results in a way that paints the coaching staff in a positive light. Let's change the pace for a moment. Amid all the chaos and chatter surrounding Kevin Stefanski, Shedeur Sanders was out in the community, doing the kind of things that make it hard not to cheer for him. A guy rolled up to a school, delivered pizzas for the students, and took some time to chat with the youth about the significance of education, staying focused, and seizing every opportunity that comes their way. He informed the kids that they had to achieve good grades. When the applause in the room fell short, he playfully called them out with a grin, showing that Shedeur Sanders knows the importance of owning the moment you're in. Whether you're in the heat of an NFL pocket facing pressure, or standing before a gym full of kids eager to hear something genuine from a role model they admire, Shedeur Sanders is exactly that. That's the kind of character Kevin Stefanski is now praising after a whole season of making choices that showed the complete opposite of confidence and trust. The difference between the two of them at this moment is incredibly pronounced. Stefanski is hitting the podcasts, working to shape how people see him and fix the image that took a big hit in Cleveland. Shedeur is hitting up schools, engaging with kids, and staying plugged into his community. He's putting in the effort to ensure that when the 2026 NFL season rolls around, the narrative everyone is sharing is about how he made a comeback and silenced all the doubters. We need to dive into the investigation rumors that are starting to bubble up around this whole situation. The buzz is intensifying, and it's not just about the NFLPA grades and the podcast interviews anymore. Questions are swirling both inside and outside the league regarding the decision-making process surrounding Shedeur's playing time. Fans and analysts alike are scrutinizing the specific play calls during crucial moments of games, pondering how different the outcomes could have been if the coaching staff had shown more confidence in their quarterback. No one is making any formal claims of intentional sabotage in official environments. That word carries significant legal and professional implications, and it shouldn't be used lightly. The casual chats, the murmurs, and those "have you noticed?" moments surrounding Stefanski's coaching choices with Shedeur Sanders are piling up, making it tough to brush them off as mere coincidence or just bad luck. When you bench a quarterback for 10 weeks, when you create a 2-point conversion play that takes him out of the equation in a critical moment, when you go through a month-long stretch of the season where reporters notice you refuse to mention his name, and when your players hand you the lowest grade in the entire league, the locker room, by all reports, was buzzing with discontent regarding the quarterback situation. When does the trend become impossible to ignore? When do all those personal choices start to stack up and warrant a closer examination? the questions are definitely surfacing, and the reality that Stefanski is now taking to podcasts to express his admiration for Shedeur, instead of keeping a low profile and moving on, indicates that he knows the chatter is intensifying. He seems to be making an effort to address it head-on. The unfolding situation with the Atlanta Falcons is going to be intriguing to observe in this context. Stefanski steps into Atlanta with an opportunity to demonstrate that his time in Cleveland was shaped more by the situation than by his own character. He's got a fresh roster, a new city to call home, and a group of players who are just starting to form their views about him without any past experiences to draw from. With Matt Ryan stepping in as the president of football, the organization gains a leader who truly gets quarterbacks and their development. Having experienced the game at its peak for over 10 years, his insights are invaluable to the team. He's got the resources, the backing from the organization, and that fresh start vibe that the NFL loves to give to coaches getting a second shot. However, the NFLPA grade travels alongside him. The combine drinks accompany him. The Shedeur Sanders narrative is all about him. Every decision he makes in Atlanta about his quarterback, play calling, and locker room culture will be scrutinized based on what transpired in Cleveland. That's not unfair at all. That's the way accountability operates in the NFL. The league holds on to its history tightly, and everyone involved, scouts, agents, players, and the seasoned journalists who report on it daily, keeps every detail in mind. A C- from your own players is not just a minor detail. This is a headline that sticks with you. The path ahead for the Cleveland Browns and Shedeur Sanders is shaping up to be a stark contrast from just a year ago. Todd Monken is infusing the organization with a fresh vibe and a brand new approach. The early signs from the offseason indicate that Shedeur is now in a setting that truly suits his style, rather than being placed in a situation that feels like an afterthought. The surrounding talent is being cultivated to align with his strengths. The offensive system is being built to highlight his strengths. Trust, which was lacking with the former coaching staff, is now being built through consistent actions every day instead of just talk on podcasts. That's the distinction between authentic coaching and performance coaching. True coaching makes its presence felt at 6 a.m., long before anyone else is around to see it. The film room is where it all comes together, showcasing those crucial one-on-one talks between a coach and his quarterback. They break down what they observed on film and strategize their next moves. It becomes evident in the play calls on Sunday afternoons when the game hangs in the balance, and the coach must determine if he has faith in the player behind center. True coaching is all about consistently developing a relationship that can withstand the heat of the moment. The NFLPA grades, the locker room drama, the combine antics, and the whole journey of the 2025 Cleveland Browns season reveal that the players didn't truly experience effective coaching under Kevin Stefanski. They went through a different experience and rated it based on that. Here we go. Kevin Stefanski is discussing Shedeur Sanders on podcasts.
The online world is buzzing. The NFLPA grades are now available for everyone to see. Rumors about the investigation are buzzing all around. Shedeur Sanders is out here treating school kids to pizzas and encouraging them to hit those books and get good grades. Totally unfazed by the guy who dedicated a whole season to complicating his professional journey. The difference reveals all you need to understand about the paths these two men are taking. The journey has just begun. Jump into the comments section and share your thoughts with us. Do you really buy into Kevin Stefanski's claim that he loved coaching? Does Shedeur Sanders' podcast performance come off as damage control to you? Do you believe the investigation rumors have any credibility? Or is this simply the internet being the internet? What do you think Shedeur Sanders will achieve in 2026? Could this be the year he silences the critics and demonstrates that the rookie challenges were due to coaching issues rather than a lack of talent? We're all about hearing every single one of your thoughts, your receipts, your hot takes, and your analysis. So, go all in. Before you head out, smash that like button right now. This video required a ton of effort, and it truly deserves your support. If you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, what are you waiting for? Smash that subscribe button and ring that notification bell so you're always in the loop for breakdowns like this. We're covering this story from the draft, through training camp, and right into the season. So keep it locked and stick with us. Spread the word about this video to your crew,
because this is a discussion that should be taking place all over the place.